401k accounts are powerful tools to help you save for retirement with tax advantages. They are amazing, and I've seen far too many people call them a scam, which is absolutely not true. So in this video, I'm going to share everything you need to know about 401ks and why you probably should be using one to invest for your future. First, let's talk about what a 401k is. A 401k is an employer-sponsored retirement savings plan that allows you to contribute a portion of your income to that plan every single time you get paid so that you're able to save either pre-tax or post-tax money to build up a retirement account. Your contributions to a 401k are automatically deducted from your paycheck from your employer and go straight into your 401k account. 401ks are only offered through employers. That is one thing that you need to know. It's not something you can sign up for on your own. If you want to have a retirement account outside of work, you can do a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. You can watch my videos on that if you'd like. They're down below. But 401ks are very different and they are only offered through employers. To enroll, you go to your HR and tell them that you want to enroll, or some companies also auto-enroll employees when you start or change positions. They will sometimes auto-enroll you, and that is something that can get you started with your 401k at work. So let's talk about some of the details and very specific rules that you might want to know about with 401ks. The first is eligibility. Like I said earlier, this is an employer-sponsored plan, so not everyone has access to a 401k. Not everyone can just go to the bank or go to a brokerage and open a 401k. You have to be employed by a company that has a 401k plan to be able to contribute to a 401k. You also have to be eligible at that employer. So some employers do not automatically allow people that they employ to contribute to a 401k. Sometimes you have to be an employee for 90 days first. Some places even have up to a year. So you can't contribute to a 401k for your first year of employment. That's one thing that happens at some places. So you need to check with your specific job, your specific employer, ask HR, read through the paperwork, and see when you're able to open and contribute to your 401k at that employer. So it is a case-by-case basis by the employer on when you can actually contribute to your 401k. The next thing that you need to understand is the contribution limits. This applies to all 401k accounts because it's set at the federal level in the US. So basically every single person has the same contribution limits. Each year there are new limits on how much you can contribute to a 401k, and it does change year to year. For example, in 2022, the amount that you can contribute for the year into your 401k was $20,500. That was great, but in 2023, that amount went up, so you can contribute $22,500 to your 401k. The amount has been going up over time, sometimes every year. It does depend on what they decide, but you need to know in the beginning of the year what the new law is, how much you can contribute, and then put that much in if you can, or put in as much as you can. If you are over 50, there are specific rules that allow you to do catch-up contributions. So if you're behind on your investments, if you don't feel like you have enough money for a good retirement, when you're 50, you can start putting in more money and do a little bit of a catch-up. The catch-up contribution is something that is set also at a federal level, so everyone has the same option. For 2024, as an example, the catch-up contribution is $7,500, so you can put an additional $7,500 into your 401k if you're over 50, and this is something that is allowed to help people catch up for retirement savings so that they have more money invested so they're able to use that money for their living expenses later on once they are retired. So let's talk about the tax advantages of a 401k. The cool thing about a 401k is, like a IRA, there are both the pre-tax and post-tax options that give you a little bit of a tax advantage that's different for each one. So the traditional 401k is a pre-tax contribution. This means that you are putting in money before you pay taxes on that money. These contributions lower your taxable income for the year, so you're paying less taxes overall, which is something that you might need in the current situation that you're in if you're making a good amount of money. You just need to remember with the regular 401k with pre-tax advantages, you do have to pay tax on that money later on when you're taking it out of your 401k. So when you're retired later later on down the road and you pull money from your 401k to pay for your living expenses, you will have to then pay tax on that money you're pulling out. So your taxes are basically just delayed until later. If you think you'll be pulling out less money and have less of an income in retirement and you'll pay less taxes, this can be a great option. But I'm not a financial advisor and this is just education. So always make sure that you are checking with an actual advisor and you're getting really good advice for your specific situation on whether you should use the pre-tax option or the post-tax option. So a 401k that's post-tax is called a Roth 401k. Not every employer offers these, but more and more are offering 401ks in the Roth version. And this is where you put in post-tax money. So basically you're paying the tax now, putting the money into your 401k, and then later down the road, when you pull the money out in retirement, you don't have to pay taxes on that money. It functions very similar to the Roth IRA. So basically you're putting in money now that you've already paid taxes on, and then it grows and grows and grows. And later on, when you have more money and you're pulling it out, you don't owe any taxes at that moment. It's a great option for some people in certain situations. So like I said, check with a financial advisor and a professional, and then do your own research and choose which one of these tax advantage options is the best for you. Your personal tax situation and circumstances is going to make a huge difference on how you handle a 401k. It will definitely decide which one you need to do, whether the regular traditional pre-tax option or the Roth where you're contributing post-tax money. This is very important to understand, but of course you can't predict everything in life. So do some research, contact a professional, and have the best choice right now that you can make, and then get to contributing. The most important thing is whether you choose the pre-tax or post-tax option is to start contributing now and put as much money into it as you can. Setting up your contributions is a very important aspect of handling a 401k. Deciding how much you're going to contribute is really important both for your current lifestyle and your future lifestyle. Remember that this is generally what has replaced pensions for a lot of people, so a 401k is pretty important if you don't want to live on a very low income with what the government can provide for you with Social Security. When you're setting up your contributions for your 401k, you are setting up an automatic contribution that will come out every single time you get paid. Almost every 401k generally does a percentage-based system, so you're choosing a percentage of your income. Sometimes you can also choose to do a certain dollar amount, but in general, most people talk about and think about 401ks as a percentage of your income. So you're definitely going to want to set up a contribution that is reasonable for you, because you do have to live now and life is pretty expensive, but you need to make sure that you're getting at least the match from your employer. This is pretty important and generally the thing that you can do for the biggest win most quickly, and make sure that your employer is giving you as much money as possible. I always like to say that this is part of your compensation plan because they've already earmarked this money to put into your 401k. You just have to make contributions too to get it. So if your employer is matching up to 4% of your income, you need to contribute at least that much, 4% into your 401k. That's a minimum amount that you need to put in. So then you can work up to a higher amount like 10%, 15%, even 20% of your income into your 401k. This will build wealth for your future, and honestly, no one's going to take care of you in the future except you. So this is something that should be a high priority. If you absolutely can't imagine putting that much money into a 401k right now, you can start slow. You can start small. You could start with 1% and then raise it to 2% and 3% and 4%. Every single year, maybe every 6 months if you can. Just increase it by 1%. When you get a raise, increase it by 1 to 2% because you're not going to miss that money. If you can, just keep increasing it until you hit those higher numbers, 15 to 20% of your income, and you'll be setting yourself up for a really great future where you don't have to worry as much. One reason people struggle to appreciate 401ks is because they are tied to a specific job. When you're at that job, you start your 401k, you contribute every time you get paid, you grow your investments inside that 401k, but then when you leave, you have a problem. You have this retirement account attached to a specific employer and you are leaving that employer. This is where a lot of people mess up because there are a lot of options for what to do with a 401k when you leave a job, but some of them are not good options. So there are 4 different options for what to do with your 401k when you are changing and leaving a job. The first and best option is to roll it over to a IRA. So this is something that you can do on your own. I've done it before. before, but it was incredibly nerve-wracking. I had to contact both my employer with the 401k, the account that I was moving it to, and then I had to wait weeks for a check with incredible nerves because I was really worried that check was going to get lost, things were going to go wrong, and I did actually lose out on some really great investment gains because the process took so much longer than I expected. I later learned that there is a service now called Capitalize, which helps you roll over these 401ks to a IRA for free. And they are actually the sponsor of today's video, so thank you for that, because I am so happy to learn that there is an easier way to take your 401k and move it to an IRA, which is the best option when you leave a job. They have made the 401k rollover process really easy because they actually will help you find old 401ks if you have left them somewhere or forgotten about them, which happens sometimes, and they will find all of your 401ks and do all of the work to roll it over to a IRA. This is incredibly helpful if you are not great at paperwork, you think something might get lost, or you're just wanting someone to help you with the process because it is a lot of work. Capitalize has a 3-step process. First, they find your 401k. You might know where it is, or you might need them to actually go out and find it based on your previous employers. They will go find all of the 401ks wherever they might be, even if you've forgotten where they were and your login information, they help with all of that. Second step of the process is to open or connect an IRA of your choice where the money will be deposited. This is the place where your money will be moved so that your investments can grow over time, so your investments for retirement are still earning money and still compounding and still growing. The third step of the process with Capitalize is my favorite, and this is because the third step is Capitalize does everything else. That is incredible. It makes it really easy with a slightly complicated process. After you have rolled over your 401k with Capitalize, they will also help you track your investments and adjust your plan to make sure you're on track to hit your goals. So they've made this process really, really easy, and you can get your 401k moved over to an IRA for free with Capitalize if you use the link in my description box. They make it super, super simple. So obviously the best choice is doing that, moving over your 401k to an account that you control. Capitalize will help you do it for free, which is amazing. But there are a few other choices for what you can do with a 401k when you leave a job. So if you don't want to roll it over, you can just leave it with your employer. You can leave it in their employer-sponsored 401k plan. It can just stay where it is. You don't have to do anything. It doesn't matter if you leave the company, they won't close your account. It will stay there. You just can't add anything new to it. You can't make contributions. You can't really do anything with it, but it can stay there. That sometimes is an okay option if you have a really good 401k plan and you want to keep the specific investments or the low fees that you have in that plan. You can do that. Another option when you leave a job with a 401k is to actually roll over your 401k to your new employer's 401k. Once you start the new job and you've had enough time, you are able to open a 401k. You can always take that old 401k from your last job and roll it over to this new 401k. If you have a really great option with your new job, then maybe that's something that you want to do. The paperwork and the process is similar to rolling it over to an IRA. You're just locking it into an employer-sponsored plan with the new 401k instead. The final option for what you can do with a 401k when you leave a job is to cash it out. This is usually never the right option. It's actually a probably terrible option because when you do cash it out, you're going to be paying penalties and you're going to be paying taxes, and it ends up being a really expensive option to just get part of your cash right then. This is generally not advised by most financial advisors. There, of course, probably are always specific circumstances where maybe you have to do this. This is generally not a great idea because you will be losing a good chunk of the money that you put into this account, that your employer put in, and that compounded and grew over time. So if you're trying to cash out when you leave a job and cash out your 401k, it's not a great option. You will be losing money. So let's talk about some of the details and very specific rules that you might want to know about with 401ks. So it is a case-by-case basis by the employer for the vesting schedule for your 401k. Vesting schedule basically means that if your company has a 401k plan and you have to be vested, it means you have to be employed at that company for a certain amount of time before you're able to take all of the contributions that they made into your 401k account. So sometimes you'll have to stay for 1 year or 4 years or 5 years before you're fully vested and able to take your 401k with you and bring all of it. So if you're not fully vested when you leave an employer and you want to take your 401k with you and roll it over, you are not able to take everything in the account. If you're not fully vested, they will take back their contributions and you don't get to keep them. This is one of the things that people don't always understand about their 401k plan. So when they leave and that money disappears, they're really disappointed and that can lead to some bad feelings. But if you take some time on the front end and look at what your specific employer says about the vesting schedule, you'll be better prepared if you do leave that job or if you try to stay long enough to make sure that you get that money in your 401k. Vesting schedule just basically means that you have to stay for a certain amount of time before you fully get the employer's contributions. So once you understand that schedule, you're good to go. It's always a great idea to understand not only how your account works, but changes as the years go on. Every single year, there may be changes, so it's also a good time to just sit down, look at your plan, see if you are going to meet your retirement investing goals, and if you need to make changes like increase your contribution. This is something you can do every single year and make sure that you're on track for the retirement that you deserve. Another thing you need to know and think about with your 401k is all of the details like setting up your beneficiary. That is who will get your money in the case that you are no longer with us. You will need to have someone signed in the beneficiary line inside of your account so that that money has somewhere to go. This is something that you want to update and understand as your life circumstances change. So just make sure that every year or so you're checking in and making sure that your beneficiaries and all of your information is correct inside your account. The final thing that you need to learn about your 401k is how your account works. And this is going to be different based on which brokerage is handling your 401k plan. Vanguard is slightly different to Fidelity, which is slightly different to Principal, which is slightly different to all the other options. You just need to be able to log in. You need to know how to change your contribution rate. You need to know how to select different investments. You need to learn how everything works within your account and how to make changes when you need to make a change. You also need to make sure that the money that you are contributing is going into the correct investment. You don't want it to sit around in a settlement fund where it's earning a little bit of interest, but it's not actually growing in the investment that you've chosen. You just need to make sure that everything's looking right, working right, and this is something that you can do by logging in to your account, getting familiar with it, watching tutorials if you need to, and playing around with things just to make sure that you know where everything is and how to make sure that your 401k is correctly invested and growing. Every provider of a 401k will have tutorials and also usually have people that you can contact for help if you're not sure how something works. So definitely take advantage of that and make sure that your money is working how you want it to within your 401k plan. It's always a great idea to understand not only how your account works, but changes as the years go on. Every single year, there may be changes, so it's also a good time to just sit down, look at your plan, see if you are going to meet your retirement investing goals, and if you need to make changes like increase your contribution or make catch-up contributions if you're older. This is something you can do every single year and make sure that you're on track for the retirement that you deserve. Those are a few of the things that you need to learn about your 401k so that you're able to invest and grow money for your future retirement. Those are a few of the things that you need to learn about your 401k so that you're able to invest and grow money for your future retirement. If you need help with your 401k, there will be links in the description box. Definitely check out Capitalize if you have an old 401k that you want to roll over to an IRA. They are fantastic, free, and very helpful if you need to move that 401k over. If you're ready to learn about different retirement accounts, definitely check out this next video.